All right, welcome in everyone to the deep dive. We got a lot to get through today, so I'm just going to jump right in. We're looking mainly at India today, though as we'll see, the impacts reach way beyond India's borders. We're going to pull out those must-know details from a whole stack of news.
Yeah, sounds good. Quite a mix of stories, really. Shows how complex India's role is in the world right now.
Okay, let's start with those India-Canada relations. Everyone remembers how tense things got right after Canada made those accusations about the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar back in '23.
Mhm.
And India denied any involvement, obviously. Things escalated quickly. Both sides recalled their top diplomats, high commissioners, others too.
It was a major escalation. Not the kind of thing you see every day between countries like these.
Yeah, but there may be some good news on the horizon. Sources say those quiet talks that resumed back in December of '24 are still ongoing. They're using both diplomatic and security channels. Some seriously tough stuff is on the table.
Yeah.
Organized crime, the Khalistan movement, that Sikh separatist movement, a step in the right direction, don't you think?
It's promising, yeah. Re-engaging, especially on issues as sensitive as security, suggests both sides see the need to move forward somehow. And keeping those lines of communication open, particularly at the security level, it's vital to dial down the tension.
Absolutely. And we're even hearing names for new envoys, like India might send Dinesh K. Patnaik,
Yeah.
very experienced diplomat, and Canada's thinking of Christopher Cooter. Still need final approvals, but just having names out there,
Right.
well, it shows they're serious about getting those diplomats back in place.
For sure. Ambassadors, high commissioners, they're the key players. They keep the dialogue going. They handle all the nuances of international relations. Experienced people in those roles can make a huge difference.
Couldn't agree more. Plus, Canada's got a new prime minister now, Mike Carney, right? Took over from Trudeau, and he said he wants stronger ties with India, trade, diplomacy, the whole works. Sometimes a new leader can bring a fresh approach, break through the logjam.
That's true. A change at the top often means a shift in priorities, a chance to mend fences, so to speak. If Carney's serious about closer ties, that could be a real driving force.
But let's be real, there are still some big hurdles. We've got the Niger trial still going on. Canada's got those federal elections coming up. Lots of potential for things to go sideways.
You're not wrong. Domestic politics, ongoing legal cases, those can really throw a wrench in international relations. What happens with those will definitely shape where India-Canada relations go next.
Yeah. But on the plus side, senior officials, even those from security agencies, they've been meeting. Cautious optimism, maybe. Seems like they're willing to see if they can work things out.
Cautious optimism. That's the key phrase. It shows a practical approach. They know it's not easy, but they're still trying to build a more stable, predictable relationship.
Makes sense. Let's switch gears a bit now. Talking international cooperation, there's been some interesting stuff happening between the EU and India on counterterrorism. Had a workshop right during that Rosina dialogue, all about sharing best practices, preventing radicalization, how to de-radicalize, rehabilitate people involved in violent extremism. Vital area to work together on, wouldn't you say?
It is. It's a global issue. Counterterrorism needs countries to work together, share what they know, what works and what doesn't. This kind of workshop. It's a good way for the EU and India to learn from each other.
Yeah. Real joint effort, this one. EU and the Embassy of the Netherlands organized it. Got people from everywhere, really. EU institutions, member states, that strong cities network, obviously Indian security folks too. Pretty impressive to have such a diverse group tackling such a tough problem.
It's the only way, honestly. Terrorism's got so many angles. You need different perspectives, different skills to even have a chance. More people at the table means better strategies.
And they talked about a whole range of things. Whole of government approaches.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like every part of the government working together. And then risk evaluation, programs for former extremists to leave that life behind and reintegrate into society, getting into the nitty-gritty, the practical side of things.
All essential parts of a good counterterrorism strategy. Can't just focus on catching the bad guys. Got to stop it from happening in the first place. Prevention, de-radicalization, rehabilitation, those are just as important as intelligence gathering.
Absolutely. And both sides said they want to keep working together, which is encouraging, right? With terrorism always changing, you need that long-term cooperation.
Absolutely. They see that terrorism is a constant threat. They're willing to pool their resources, their knowledge, to tackle it effectively in the long run.
We also heard from some big names. EU Ambassador Delphin, then Maciej Stejcek from the European External Action Service. They said this collaboration fits perfectly with the EU's Indo-Pacific strategy, strengthens their security partnership with India. Interesting how counterterrorism ties into all those bigger strategic goals.
It does. Security is becoming more and more important in how the EU works with the Indo-Pacific region. India is a key player there. Shared security interests can really build a strong foundation for a wider relationship, diplomatic, strategic, the whole nine yards.
Dinkar Gupta, he's the former Director General of India's National Investigation Agency. He talked about needing collaborative innovation, which, yeah, with all the security challenges out there, you can't afford to just sit back and wait for the next thing to happen.
Couldn't said it better myself. Terrorists are always finding new ways to do things, using new technology. If you want to stay ahead, you need to be proactive, keep sharing ideas, coming up with new solutions.
They even talked about an EU project, ASEWA, plus it's all about training Indian security people on how to handle chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear risks. That's pretty scary stuff, to be honest.
It is, but it's the reality, right?
Yeah.
Non-state actors, they could get their hands on these materials, so making sure security forces are trained to deal with that, that's a crucial part of being ready for anything.
And a really important point they made. Combating terrorism while protecting democratic values and human rights. You can't let security measures trample on people's freedoms. It makes you think maybe this could lead to an even deeper security and defense partnership between the EU and India.
It does, emphasizing those values, democratic values, human rights, that's really important. Make sure counterterrorism efforts stay within the law, respect basic freedoms, could definitely lay the groundwork for a much closer security and defense relationship down the line.
All right, moving on now. Let's talk about India's big energy plans, specifically expanding coal power. The news here is they're way behind schedule. They wanted to add 15 gigawatts, that's GW, of thermal power by March 2025.
Yeah.
But it looks like they'll only hit about half that. And this isn't a one-time thing. This is a trend.
It's a big shortfall. It shows us some of the core problems in India's energy plan. Coal's been the main source of power for a long time, but this struggle to build more capacity, it makes you wonder what their energy mix will look like in the future.
Yeah, it really highlights those contradictions in India's energy policy. Their economy is growing so fast they need a ton of electricity. Coal is cheap and it's available. But they've already got one of the biggest coal power setups in the world. Many of those plants are old, and now they can't even expand much more.
Yeah, they're walking a tightrope. Coal helped them meet their energy needs, sure, but now you have the environmental impact, the global push for cleaner energy. It all puts pressure on them to change.
And it seems companies are getting nervous about investing in new coal power plants. Takes too long, costs too much upfront, especially when the world's moving towards cleaner options. No one wants to spend a bunch of money on something that could become useless in a few years.
Exactly. The economics of coal are changing, especially in parts of the world where renewables are getting cheaper and climate change is a bigger and bigger concern. Investors are putting their money into greener, more sustainable things.
No surprise the government's getting criticized for this. They keep pushing for more coal power, but, well, it goes against all their promises about climate goals and renewable energy. Well, it sends a bit of a mixed message, don't you think?
It creates a dissonance, yeah, between their climate ambitions and the reality of their energy infrastructure and how much energy they need. It's a tough situation for policymakers.
It all boils down to this.
Hmm.
India wants fast economic growth. They need energy to power that. And they have to think about the environment. Not an easy problem to solve. I think this might force them to really rethink their long-term energy strategy.
It might. A lot of developing economies are facing this same trilemma, but for a country as big and influential as India, their energy choices are going to have ripple effects everywhere.
Shifting gears completely now. Big news in the business world. Cognite. They make industrial software. Backed by Saudi Aramco, they just opened an AI services center in Bengaluru. A pretty big investment in India's tech sector, I'd say.
It is. Cognite focuses on industrial software, especially for things like oil and gas. So moving into Bengaluru, that's a tech hub, that's a big deal.
So just so everyone knows, Cognite makes software that helps those huge industrial operations run better and safer. Oil and gas platforms, that kind of thing. Using data and AI to boost efficiency and safety.
When you say industrial software, are we talking about AI that can predict when equipment's going to fail or make those supply chains in these massive facilities more efficient?
That's exactly it. AI looks at tons of data from these industrial operations, finds patterns, predicts problems so they can fix things before they break down, optimizes processes, improves efficiency and safety across the board. Interesting. And it seems they picked India for a few key reasons. I mean, India has become a major player in manufacturing and technology. Everyone knows that. Plus, companies are looking for alternatives to China. And Cognite CEO specifically mentioned that.
Yeah, companies are looking to diversify, not put all their eggs in one basket. It's a global trend. India has the skilled workforce, a growing market, a stable government. It's attractive for foreign investment.
Word on the street is they've already partnered up with a big cement company and a major car manufacturer in India. No details yet, but that tells me they're seeing real potential in the India market.
For sure. Those partnerships mean there's a demand for what Cognite offers, that AI-powered stuff, to make India's industrial sector more efficient, safer. And that demand's only going to grow.
They're putting some serious money down, too, millions of dollars, and they're already talking about expanding more. Their chief strategy officer seems pretty confident about their future in India.
Yeah, they're not just dipping their toes in, they're committing. Shows they believe in the Indian market, they have a long-term vision, and it reflects how appealing India is to global tech companies in general.
This move by Cognite, it fits right into that AI boom that's happening everywhere.
All right.
It's affecting every industry, how things are made, the quality of products, how those global supply chains work. Pretty transformative stuff.
Definitely. AI isn't some futuristic idea anymore. It's part of how businesses and industries work, driving innovation, making things more efficient. And Cognite setting up shop in India, well, that shows how fast this trend's accelerating.
And they're not alone. You've got Apple, Tesla. They're all increasing their investments in India. Seems like everyone wants a piece of the action.
It's that snowball effect, right? Big companies come in, others follow. It builds up the local ecosystem, makes it more dynamic, more competitive. India's reaping the benefits of that.
Oh, and just to show you how big Cognite is, they work with some heavy hitters. Aker BP, Koch Chemical. These guys are the real deal in their field.
They've got a solid reputation working with those big names. It lends them credibility as they expand into India. They're not just some startup. They bring real expertise, proven solutions to the table.
All right, let's talk cricket now. The ICC, the International Cricket Council, they're thinking of changing the point system for the World Test Championship, that's the WTC, before the next one starts in June 2025. Basically, they're trying to make it fairer.
Yeah, the World Test Championship, it was meant to give those test series more meaning, more context. But the way points are awarded, it's been criticized, and it seems the ICC is listening.
One big change they're talking about is in-game bonus points. The bigger your margin of victory, the more points you get. Kind of like in rugby's Six Nations, you get extra points for a dominant win. So even if you're already winning, you still want to push for the biggest win you can get.
It's a novel idea. Could add some excitement, make teams think more strategically, and it might make things more interesting for the fans, too.
They're also thinking about weighted victories, where winning away from home or against a higher-ranked team gets you more points. The idea is to reward teams that really prepare for those tough overseas series.
Makes sense, right? Winning on someone else's turf is harder. It addresses a big criticism of the current system, where it doesn't matter how tough your opponents are.
Exactly. People have said that the current system doesn't really take into account how hard a series is. Like, look at South Africa. They got to the last WTC final without even playing Australia or England, and those are the top teams. Doesn't seem very fair.
Good example. Reaching the final shouldn't just depend on who you happen to play against.
But these changes, well, they're not perfect either. Some people are worried it'll make things too complicated, especially since different countries play a different number of matches. Could create new imbalances.
True. Too many variables, and it's hard to keep track of who's winning, how to get to the final. It needs to be fair, but also easy to understand.
At the end of the day, the ICC wants the World Test Championship to be fairer, more engaging, something that reflects how great Test cricket is. Seems like it's a work in progress.
It is. They're going to have to keep tweaking it, making sure it stays relevant, stays successful in the long run.
Okay, enough cricket for now. Let's talk about something a little more glamorous. Miss World. The 72nd one is happening in Telangana, India, this May. That's a huge event, a chance for India to show off its culture to the whole world.
Absolutely. Miss World's one of the biggest beauty pageants there is. Having it in India will bring a lot of international attention, showcase their culture and heritage.
Miss World 2023. That's Kristina Peskova from the Czech Republic. She and the head of the whole Miss World organization, Julia Morley, they were just in Hyderabad checking out the preparations. Things seem to be on track.
It's a big deal, hosting something like this. They want to make sure everything's perfect, meets the high standards of an international event.
Miss World 2023. She seems really excited about India hosting. Talked about the culture, how important India's been to the pageant's history, She even said she loves that Indian sparkle, from past pageants. Even shared a story about visiting a Hindu temple. Adds a personal touch, I think.
Those little stories really show how these events can bring people together. It's not just about the competition, it's about cultures meeting, understanding each other.
The pageant's going to have people from all over, contestants, dignitaries, and they're focusing more on those initiatives that contestants are working on, cultural exchange, that kind of thing. It's not just about looks anymore.
You're right. They're trying to make these pageants more relevant, give them more impact. It's about social issues, being a global citizen, not just beauty.
Julia Morley, she said India's hospitality was amazing, that there's a real feeling of a global family. Praised the way the event's being organized. Pretty good feedback.
It shows that India can handle these big international events, that they're welcoming.
So it sounds like this Miss World pageant is going to show that India can host these prestigious events and that they welcome everyone with open arms. A real proud moment for the country.
Totally. Hosting something like this successfully will boost their reputation, show they can manage these complex global gatherings.
Okay, on to a story with a little more political weight. Mamata Banerjee, she's the chief minister of West Bengal. She wants Sunita Williams, the Indian origin NASA astronaut, to get the Bharat Ratna. That's India's highest civilian award. This all comes after Williams got back from a long stay on the International Space Station.
That's a huge honor, the Bharat Ratna. People who get it have usually done something extraordinary for India or for humanity as a whole. And Sunita Williams, with her space exploration achievements, she definitely fits the bill.
Right. She was supposed to be on the ISS for 8 days, but because of problems with Boeing's Starliner, she ended up staying 9 months. That's a pretty big unplanned extension.
To be in space that long, it takes incredible mental and physical strength, especially with those technical issues. Her resilience, her adaptability, it's really remarkable.
Absolutely. Mamata Banerjee gave a speech in the State Assembly praising Williams's resilience. Even compared her to Kalpana Chawla, another amazing Indian origin astronaut. She stressed how Williams inspires people, especially young people, to get into science and space. And she said, India needs to recognize her achievements. Give her that award.
That comparison to Kalpana Chawla, it's powerful. It highlights how Indian women are contributing to space exploration, how they inspire a whole generation.
And it wasn't just her. Prime Minister Modi, other leaders, they all congratulated Williams on her return, talked about her courage, how she never gave up.
Yeah.
They said it shows what human perseverance can achieve. So you see, there's a lot of respect for her across the political spectrum.
It's something everyone can agree on. Achievements in space, they unite people. It's a proud moment for India, no matter your political views.
It really is. Everyone's talking about her legacy, how she's helped India's space program. Seems like the whole country wants to celebrate her.
It's well-deserved recognition for her hard work, and it celebrates the groundbreaking contributions of Indians in space programs around the world.
Okay, time for a story that's a little more concerning. Akhilesh Yadav, a leader of the Samajwadi Party, he's worried about 1,000 Hindu devotees who supposedly went missing at the recent Maha Kumbh in Prayagraj. If that number's right, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a very serious issue. The Maha Kumbh, it's this huge religious event, millions of pilgrims. Their safety should be the top priority.
Yadav's been criticizing the BJP government, saying they haven't done enough to find these people. He's calling on Modi to tell everyone what's going on. He even brought this up when the prime minister was talking about how the event showed national unity.
That shows you the tension between celebrating a successful event and dealing with the problems that happen there. You need to be transparent, accountable to keep people's trust.
He also talked about the families of the missing, how worried they are. And he even accused the government of taking down posters with pictures of the missing people. If that's true, it's a really bad look.
If they did that, it makes you question how committed they are to helping these families.
Yadav's point was that finding these people should have been the most important thing, not just saying the event was a success. Makes sense to me.
I agree. In any big public gathering, the priority has to be everyone's safety and security. If people go missing, you need to find them, and you need to do it fast.
Yeah. And he's asking the BJP and all their groups to get involved, help the family search. Seems like he wants everyone to work together on this.
It's a humanitarian crisis. Politics shouldn't matter when people are trying to find their loved ones.
Just to give everyone some background, the Maha Kumbh is one of the largest gatherings in the world. Huge religious and cultural significance. Managing an event that big That's got to be a logistical nightmare.
It's mind-boggling, the logistics. But
Yeah.
that also means they need really good safety measures, clear plans in case something goes wrong.
These disappearances, they've cast a dark cloud over what was supposed to be this big celebration. People are talking about public safety again, about transparency in government, about how to manage these massive events. Not a good situation at all.
It's a reminder that even when these big events seem successful, things can go wrong. And when they do, you have to be honest, show empathy, and find answers.
Let's move on to some good economic news from India. McDonald's is opening their biggest global capability center, that's GCC, outside of the U.S., and they're putting it in Hyderabad. Shows how India is becoming a global business hotspot.
Huge news. When a company like McDonald's chooses Hyderabad for something like this, it says a lot about how important the city and India are becoming in the world economy.
This is a massive facility, 200,000 square feet, right in the heart of Hyderabad's tech scene. Should be up and running soon, and they're talking about creating over 2,000 jobs. That's a big boost for the local economy.
It's a huge investment, and those jobs will make a real difference. This just strengthens Hyderabad's position as a place where global businesses want to be.
Interesting thing is, McDonald's CEO, Chris Kempczinski, he actually went to Hyderabad, and he said they chose it because of the talent pool, the infrastructure, even the quality of life. They even picked it over Bengaluru, which is, kind of India's Silicon Valley.
Shows you how they're thinking strategically. It's not just about costs. It's about having skilled people, good infrastructure. Those things matter to big companies.
And this GCC, it's not just for India, it's McDonald's global office for India. It's about using Indian resources for their whole worldwide operation.
They're making India a key part of their global network, not just a market. They see the potential there for talent, innovation, efficiency.
And get this, they're going to source food from Telangana farmers, not just for India, but for McDonald's all over the world. Big boost for local agriculture. Plus, they want to use Telangana as a training ground for their centers in India and abroad.
Pretty ambitious, huh?
Yeah, they're not just coming in, taking what they need, they're investing in the community, creating shared value. That's a good sign. No surprise, then, that Telangana's Chief Minister, Revanth Reddy, was pretty happy about this deal. Talked about all the jobs it'll create, the businesses it'll bring to the state.
It's a big win for the state government. Attracting foreign investment is a top priority for them, so yeah. You can understand why the chief minister is excited about what this means for Telangana.
McDonald's is already pretty big in Telangana. They've got 38 restaurants there. And now they're planning to expand even more into smaller towns. This GCC seems to be part of a bigger plan for growth in the whole region.
Going into those smaller towns, it shows that more and more people in Telangana are, well, they're into McDonald's. It solidifies their commitment to the state to helping its economy grow.
All right, time for a story with a bit of a historical twist. Some recently declassified files about the JFK assassination back in '63 have revealed some interesting stuff about the CIA back in the Cold War. Apparently, they had these black sites, secret CIA facilities in Kolkata and New Delhi, India. Pretty shocking, the lengths they went to back then.
Definitely. Black sites in India, that shows just how big the Cold War spy game was in this region.
Apparently, these black sites were used to interrogate and detain people. This info comes from the U.S. National Archives, and it was actually highlighted by Russian-backed media. Gives you a peek into that whole world of secret intelligence operations during a really tense time.
Yeah, these secret facilities, they raise some big questions about national sovereignty. How much were foreign intelligence agencies doing in India back then? The fact that they're declassifying this stuff now, it shows they're trying to be more transparent. But you got to wonder about the timing and who's leaking this stuff now.
And these files, they don't just talk about the black sites. They also mention Lee Harvey Oswald, the guy who shot Kennedy. They talk about his skills, his movements, how the Soviets and the Americans were both watching him before the assassination. They even mentioned the possibility of organized crime being involved through Jack Ruby. They have a very complicated story, and we still don't know everything.
The Kennedy assassination, it's still fascinating to people, still so many unanswered questions. And these new files, they just add another layer to the mystery. The stuff about Oswald being watched, the organized crime link, it keeps all those conspiracy theories alive.
Interestingly, though, a lot of this information was already out there in bits and pieces, so people are debating whether these new files are really that important. And basically think, what are they still hiding?
It's common for them to declassify stuff gradually, holding back certain details for a long time. They give us a little bit, then a little bit more. It just leads to more questions, more interpretations.
So while we get a little more insight into the Cold War, how they spied back then, those big questions about the Kennedy assassination, they're still unanswered. Which means, yeah, those conspiracy theories aren't going away anytime soon.
That's the thing about events like that, especially when intelligence agencies are involved. Secrecy was everything. It's hard to know the full truth, even now.
All right, changing gears again, let's talk about some entertainment news. Pakistani singer Abrar-ul-Haq has started a bit of a debate. He says that other Pakistani singers, Atif Aslam and Rahat Fateh Ali Khan, their careers really suffered when they couldn't work in Bollywood anymore. Pretty bold statement, wouldn't you say?
It is. The Pakistani music scene and Bollywood, they've had a complicated relationship. Sometimes they work together, sometimes they don't, depending on the politics between the two countries. But Bollywood is huge. It's got resources. It can launch careers. So, yeah, not being able to work there, that could have a big impact.
Hawk was on a podcast, and he was talking about how Pakistani music isn't as creative as it used to be. He said Bollywood's system, all that money and support, it really helped guys like Aslam and Khan. But once the political situation changed, Pakistani artists were banned from Bollywood, and he thinks they lost a lot of visibility and momentum.
It's a good point. The entertainment industries in that part of the world, they're all connected. Bollywood's got so much reach, so much money. It's given a lot of artists from Pakistan a platform. But when you cut off that access, it's going to affect their global reach.
He even said there's a famine of creativity in Pakistani music right now. Said they need better support systems to help their own talent. Talked about the struggles of underground artists, how some of the newer stuff isn't very original. He even said the whole industry needs an overhaul.
It sounds like he's really concerned about the state of Pakistani music. Maybe relying on Bollywood for so long meant they didn't build up their own strong music scene.
Yeah. And he talked about those golden days of Pakistani music, back when they had artists like Noorji Jahan. He said collaboration was key back then. But he doesn't think social media can fix the deeper problems.
It's important to look back at how music industries grow. You need the right infrastructure, the money, the networks for people to work together. Social media can get you noticed, but it doesn't solve the bigger problems.
So what Abrar-ul-Haq is saying, it's a call for Pakistan to invest in its music scene, to focus on innovation. He wants them to find their own sound again, become a global force.
He's starting a conversation, making people think about how to make Pakistani music stronger, how to make it stand on its own 2 feet.
All right, last story, and it's about sports, specifically Kabaddi. The 2025 Kabaddi World Cup is being held in the UK, which is a first, and it shows how the sport's spreading around the world. For anyone who doesn't know, Kabaddi is huge in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. It's their national sport.
Yeah.
You have 2 teams of 7 playing on this rectangular court. One guy, the raider, he goes into the other team's half, tries to tag them, and he has to do it all in one breath, chanting Kabaddi. You get points for tags and tackles.
It's a really intense sport, full of action, with a long history in South Asia. It's becoming more and more popular internationally, which is exciting to see.
The tournament started on March 17th. The finals are on the 23rd. They're playing the games in a few cities, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Coventry, Walsall. It's great to see them spreading the sport around the UK.
Having the Kabaddi World Cup in the UK, it's going to introduce it to a whole new audience. Having games in different cities is a good way to get more people interested.
They've got 16 men's teams and 8 women's teams. You've got the big Kabaddi countries like India, but also teams from England, Scotland, Wales. It's a good mix, countries with a long tradition in the sport and those who are just starting out.
That shows how global Kabaddi is becoming. It'll be fun to see how those newer teams do against the experienced ones.
The first Kabaddi World Cup was in Malaysia in 2019, and India won both the men's and women's titles. They're definitely the favorites this year.
India's always been strong in Kabaddi, so yeah, they'll be tough to beat. But the sport's growing, other countries are getting better, so you never know.
This World Cup, it's a big moment for Kabaddi. It's going to show the world how exciting this sport is, bring in new fans, maybe even new players and sponsors.
These big events are so important for a sport to grow. People need to see how fast, how skillful Kabaddi is. That's what'll make it popular around the world.
And anyone who wants to watch, it's being streamed online for free on places like TalkSport's YouTube channel. So no excuse not to check it out.
Smart move to stream it for free. More people can watch, more people become fans.
So there you have it, folks. We covered a lot today, from those tricky India-Canada relations to India's energy challenges, how Indian tech and talent are going global, and even some Cold War secrets. It's a fascinating look at a country that's right at the center of a changing world.
It is. And it's amazing how all these stories, they're all connected in some way. It shows the complex challenges and the amazing opportunities that India is dealing with right now.
Thinking about all that, all the geopolitical stuff, the economics, even the cultural and sporting events, what do you think is the biggest thing shaping India's role in the world? Are they focused on economic growth above all else? Are they being more assertive internationally? Or is there something else, it's something deeper that connects all these things? Something to think about.
That's a great question. And thinking about it helps us understand everything we talked about today, see the bigger picture.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. If any of these stories,